gonna be a little while.
Okay, but like,
you shouldn't call me and my officers unless you want an armed response. Because while we get training in mental health, we get training in substance abuse, we get training in family planning, we are also trained in deadly force. If you don't want it, then don't call for it.
I'm walking out of here, bro.
are y'all making a deal with us or y'all gonna keep recording?
It's gonna be a little while.
Okay, but like.
So what the Congressional Black Caucus is calling for now is for the FBI to set up a meeting between members of the CBC and the people that wrote the document, because nobody can account for this. I mean, in my opinion, just to cut to the chase, I don't believe black identity extremists exists.
Stay tight, stay tight.
This is the NFAC, an armed black group that's made headlines this past year for demonstrating against white supremacy and police brutality. Its leader talked to CNN last year about the NFAC.
And that stands for the Not Effing Around Coalition. That is a reflection of our attitude, the entire group. We're not effing around anymore with the judicial system that shortchanges us.
I don't believe black identity extremists exists.
From marching for Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, to this wooded property near Atlanta, Georgia, the NFAC is under the microscope again this week after Othel Wallace, the man suspected of shooting a Daytona Beach police officer in the head, was arrested. Law enforcement tracked him down to this compound, along with 4 other people.
If 2 black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
And I believe that the FBI should retract the document.
I could die today.
Don't say that.
If 2 black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
And should send out a document throughout law enforcement saying that black identity extremists do not exist.
He got his story in first.
It would be frightening for this country to be taken over by people who refuse to reason and don't know that that's what they're doing. They don't know they're refusing to reason.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator, but if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
I don't think it's about persuasion. I think it's about mobilization.
Are you Daniel? Yes, sir. Daniel Fruit? Please let me get.
And so to be clear, white people are not writing a check, though if any white person wants to write me a check, I'll give my Venmo after the talk. But reparations is about a societal debt.
Black Lives Matter Chicago rallied in support of people who looted and are locked up at the police station at 18th and State.
That is reparations. Anything they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance.
And it is paid by the government. It's not about punishing white Americans.
Thank you.
Anybody want my Venmo?
That this isolation will make us remember what matters most.
Like, why you don't love us? That's the question we want to ask police. Why you don't love us?
And here you guys tell stories about black unarmed people that have been killed by police officers, and then a week later,
disproportionate numbers.
absolutely, and then a week later you report that the police officer is back on the force. It's very traumatizing. It's very traumatizing for me.
First and foremost,
he broke
my mom
into the
don't live by
electrical
that code.
closet,
My
tried
mom
to
don't
turn
live
on
by
his own
that code.
electricity,
You heard the fuck
blows
you
up
talking
my
about, man?
computer. 15 years into this.
What house? I'm gonna kiss in my bed.
Oh, shoot, the one sitting on the stairs hit my door so hard it was like practically coming off. I had to hold it back.
Stop lying. What you can do? I can do anything I want. Because her dog tried to bite me, so now I'm gonna let her know you got to get rid of that mug. Okay? That's what I want to let her know. Your dog got to go. And if your dog don't go, you go. Go.
Hey, what's up?
It would be frightening for this country to be taken over by people who refuse to reason and don't know that that's what they're doing.
And when you have that conversation, that's because of the move that NASCAR took in reference to the Confederate flag and your son's push to try and make that happen. Is that right?
I want to put my foot on his fucking neck like he do us. I want to put my foot on his back like he do us. I want to hang him from a fucking tree like he do us.
Gail?
Oh, Jerika, I'm so touched by Bubba Wallace's dad. You could tell he's a proud father who's concerned about his son.
NASCAR President Steve Phelps says that he will now add cameras to all of the garages, and all members of the association, the Racing Association, will be required to take sensitivity and unconscious bias training.
An unconscious bias.
Okay, so that. I want to beat your ass. I want to beat your ass.
It would be frightening for this country to be taken over by people who refuse to reason and don't know that that's what they're doing. They don't know they're refusing to reason. They think that there are certain issues upon which there can be no reasoning. And you literally can't talk to them. They cannot be reasoned with. And put them in positions of power, and next thing you know, the country does start to disappear. That is a very frightening prospect.
If two black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah. Now, our stance has been measured. We have shown restraint.
I placed a phone call for my brother to get help, not for my brother to get lynched.
Give me your gun, I need it. Give me your gun, I need it. Scoop crazy as hell. Give me your gun, I need it, man. I'm killing everybody in that house, man.
They keep playing in our faces, and they keep ignoring the people's demand. And until that happens, City Hall is closed until that happens.
Stick together, make some money.
If two black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
When I watch an interview with the director on CBS News, I think in the morning, and the woman says,
If two black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
and then I see Gail in a cameo in the same movie.
Cross state lines after killing Officer Reed in Cleveland, Ohio.
And of course the same thing, a movie about killing a cop, specifically a black person killing a cop. And the protagonist isn't a violinist volunteering at an animal shelter playing violin to the cats. And even though the protagonist is innocent, there's still a certain typecasting of tough, cool, thuggy people. And how she highlights how the movie came into being based on an author that 15 years ago, an author called a liar. And there was a huge scandal because it was based on real life but not real.
One of y'all smoke.
I saw him like run across this. He almost got hit by a car too.
Stick together, make some money.
They are searching for survivors. In fact, many people remain unaccounted for across all 3 states.
Are you Daniel? Yes, sir.
Literally, there were times when I thought Gail would be fired because she would go too far with the way she would flirt with Charlie. I was like, how did she get away with that? It was just so tacky. It was so not Walter Cronkite. It was like turning the news into Oprah. And nobody hates Gail, but it was like, what are you doing here? So it was so ironic when...
There is something sensual, Charlie, about just touching fingers.
Come on, Charlie. I'm such a Charlie Rose fan.
Too.
Love the guy. Been interviewed by him.
Me too.
How do you reconcile and
this happens, but I know that we will be okay.
Officers first arrived at Jussie Smollett's apartment after the actor claimed he'd been attacked. Smollett still has what appears to be a noose around his neck.
Do you want to take it off or anything?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted y'all to see it.
I also want to say that this is a moment that demands a frank and honest assessment about where we stand and more generally the safety of women.
Something going on between you and Schumacher?
Not anymore.
And that, we are in a war that we didn't start.
Right. You do not want to have to deal with this shit, man. Please, I'm telling you, change our lives out there. We can stick together, make some money.
And I feel like black people, when they walk out their door, they go to war every day.
Yeah.
And they have to decide, what black person do I want to show up as this morning? Do I want to be MLK?
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
She's crazy, yeah, but yeah, she needs to be in another house, yeah, I know. And I told her to her face she's crazy. But I told Popsy, I said, I don't even speak to the troll. No, don't speak to her. Yeah, nobody does it. Punch her on her face, though.
Imagine the mayor of a city or town saying to you, I hope you have trouble sleeping.
They'd rather be like, hey, what's up? Like, to whoever you want to have the conversation with, you're going to call 911, an emergency line.
I will whip your... That's why I said that's why. That's how old. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Like, why you don't love us? Why you don't love us? That's the question we want to ask. Like, why you don't love us?
Like, why you don't love us? That's the question we want to ask police. Why you don't love us?
Exactly right.
She has called this a protest film.
Yeah.
Is that something you would use as well?
I mean, I think of it as protest art.
I gotta ask you about what's going on your show. Two things. First of all, there were all these rumors that CBS was after Oprah to be on the show.
Andy, you know that's not true.
Right.
Rita, you're very good at the lap dances.
We need to see those images. I'm sick of just seeing black people walking around looting. White people are looting too. We need to see those images. I'm sick of just seeing black people walking around looting. White people are looting too.
I have a dream that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I don't want us to miss this message. If you are going to focus on the looting, which, by the way, white people are looting too, we need to see those images. I'm sick of just seeing black people walking around looting. White people are looting too.
If 2 black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
Your language is, to some, is just as egregious as what they're saying by calling the president's people henchmen. Some could say that's just as insulting as what he's saying about you.
And we had to watch the news, and I thought the news was so damn boring.
I want to get the backstory of how this came about, because you were having a conversation with James Frey, best-selling author.
What isn't. So first of all, I wanted to start with the Smoking Gun report, titled The Man Who Conned Oprah.
I've struggled with the idea of it, and
No, the lie of it. That's a lie. It's not an idea, James, that's a lie. It is also not fiction, but a bold choice.
Cross state lines after killing Officer Reed in Cleveland, Ohio.
James Frey, best-selling author.
It's a gut-wrenching memoir that is raw and it's so real. Our next book is A Million Little Pieces.
You barely catch that she's even mentioning his name. It all plays into the theme here, which is fiction, masquerading as news, and the line keeps getting blurrier.
Black people think
They would become heroes, you said.
I thought so.
I want to be immortal too.
The white people. The white people. Gotta put that in the script somewhere.
And until then, fuck the police.
I'm going to a protest tomorrow.
For what?
To support you. Can't believe y'all are here, man. I was just watching y'all, like on TV.
I just want to say, man, to all the young cats out there.
And then, you walking right next to me, that shit is crazy.
If 2 black people killed a police officer, they would instantly become heroes.
Yeah.
How so?
Because then you'll be immortal.
They got a new Black Panther?
And should send out a document throughout law enforcement saying that black identity extremists do not exist.
I just want people to know I was here.
And should send out a document throughout law enforcement saying that black identity extremists do not exist.
A man allegedly refused to pull over. He claimed he's a sovereign citizen.
Race war. Whose team are you on? Black people or white people?
Is there a race war? Did I miss it?
There's a war going on outside. The police department is on one side and the black community is on the other. It is time to do something differently.
So we can't sort of say, great, that happened, let's move on. I know that people in the Black community don't feel that way because many of us still live in fear as we go to the grocery store or worry about walking our dogs. People will come up and pet my dogs, but will not look me in the eye. They don't know it's me. That is so telling of how white America views people who are not like them. You know, we don't exist. And when we do exist, we exist as a threat.
They gave no information to us as to how they came up with that category.
The only thing I can do is share that does hurt. Because if we walk around pretending like it doesn't hurt, the perpetrator just say, oh, I was just joking. It's just politics.
They gave no information to us as to how they came up with that category.
From marching for Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, to this wooded property near Atlanta, Georgia, the NFAC is under the microscope again this week after Othel Wallace, the man suspected of shooting a Daytona Beach police officer in the head, was arrested. Law enforcement tracked him down to this compound, along with 4 other people.
And to me, what they really need to be concerned about is white identity extremists. But that seemed to mystify them.
Okay. This woman is walking into an unthinkable nightmare. There's no way she can know that there are 2 bad guys inside. She's about to be ambushed inside her own house. What happens next is terrifying. They not only beat her, they also took off with her most cherished possession, her 11-month-old French bulldog, Milani. You can see them fleeing on the doorbell camera.
I have the black eye.
And this is Amanda today.
I was saying to them, please don't take my dog, please don't take my dog.
Thefts of French bulldogs are on the rise.
Okay, so we're all on the same page here. I have to put my professor hat on for a moment. As far as when we talk about extremism, we're talking about something that's radical in opinion.
I don't want to say we need to go start killing all white folks, but it's like, but maybe.
Of attacks since the 90s, according to data collected by an organization at West Point.
Oh my
Bin Laden was not the first man to bring terror to that section of the city. I never forgot that. Neither should you.
All white people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with.
Individuals who are responsible for the neglect of that building and for so many fires in the Bronx must be held accountable. No individuals should have to have space heaters. No individuals should have doors that do not close.
Especially in political matters. Extremism is a constitutionally protected right in this country, and so that's something we have to understand and acknowledge. What really concerns me about this report, having been in law enforcement, having been in fusion centers, is that this report's gone out to almost 18,000 law enforcement agencies, some of which have intelligence departments. Are we hearing about BIE concerns from any local law enforcement or other agencies other than the Bureau?
No, I mean, basically, you know, that document cites organizations from many, many years ago, and it cites the 3 or 4 incidences in which African Americans were involved in killing law enforcement officers. And ironically, the only individual that was connected to an organization was the guy that committed the murders in Baton Rouge, and he was connected to Sovereign Nation, which is a white organization. So, you know, the point of the document is that it's saying that black identity extremists are organized to kill law enforcement officers. My concern about it is, especially since it was distributed to law enforcement around the country, is that I consider it a declaration of open season on young black activists that I have a particular concern about, especially people who are involved in the Black Lives Matter movement or any movement that's trying to hold police accountable. And to me, it was just a throwback to the past. It reminded me of my days here in Los Angeles as a young activist protesting the LAPD and the level of repression that we went through, there was nobody we could talk to during those years. And so I feel a very personal responsibility to make sure that that document is retracted.
Let's go back to those years. Oh, go ahead.